everybody, welcome to Speedy's Garage. Today we're obviously not in the shop. We're out riding around in Go Man Go, turning some fuel into noise. It's New Year's Day 2019, and what a better way to start off the new year than out in the hot rod enjoying some of the rare nice weather we get this time of year. It's been rainy and cold. We got a nice, it's probably 50 degrees, so the car's loving that cool air. Nice and sunny, so I decided to get the car out. Not a lot going on. I just wanted to look back at 2019. We did a lot of racing. I was really curious. 2019 was all about finding out what I could do in the Hellcat with it pretty much stock. We did no power changes to it whatsoever, no tune, no nothing. It was the stock tune, stock pulley, all of that. The only things we had were the drive shaft and the tires and the wheels, and we were able to run a 1051 on race gas, and I think at about 132 miles an hour, 131, something like that, and we ran a 1053 on 93 octane. Now, that 1053 on 93 was in very, very good DA. It was probably, 100 or negative even. I think it might have been negative, 200 or 300, something like that. The temperature was about 40 degrees, 45 degrees. It was sunny, so the track had heated up. The 60 foot wasn't quite as good as it was when we ran the 1051 on 109, but that's what you would expect. Your 60 foot is, some of that's related to the power, and obviously on 109 race gas, we saw in our 93 versus 109 octane review that you actually do pick up a little bit of power on 109 because the factory tune in a Hellcat is so hot that the knock sensors kick in pretty frequently. Put a little 109 in the tank and that goes away and you pick up power. So that was one of the deals there. The channel success, my goal for 2018 was to produce one video per week. Previously I hadn't done that, and so I wanted to try to get more consistent. Geez, man, just pull off the side of the road. I wanted to try to get more consistent and put out content every week. We started publishing every Saturday about 10 a.m. Central Time. Those of you that have subscribed and do the thumbs ups on the videos, I really, really appreciate that. You guys have helped the channel grow about 30% for 2018. I had a goal of 50%, so I didn't quite get there, but 30% is pretty dang good. And so thank you guys for giving the thumbs up, and all of you that subscribe and come back to the channel each week to see what we have going on at Speedy's Garage. So thank you for that. We got into some racing in 2018 as well. It started off with some test and tune at Beach Bend early in the spring, like in March. Then we had Challenger Fest, which was in April. Then we did the NMCA Bluegrass Nationals, which was at Beach Bend Raceway this year. That was in May. We went to VMP in September for the MSHS Racing Series. That was a good time. So a lot of success with the car. Probably made 50 or 60 passes this year. The car has been flawless. So it's really a testament to what these cars are designed to do. Looking ahead to 2019, I've got some pretty big plans for the car. We've maxed out what I think we can do on the stock setup. Now, I could try to convert it over to E85 on the stock boost and kind of see what it would do there. But honestly, there's a gentleman that's already done that. He goes by Fast Hemi out there in the interwebs, and he was able to actually run, I believe, 990s on E85. Kurt from Injected Engineering had tuned his car, and he's doing really well with it. I want to go a little bit different direction. My goals for the car, and I've always said this, is to run 10.0s in any weather, and I want the ability to adjust my tune so that I can run 10.0s whenever I want to, and then if I need to have a little bit of extra oomph, I'm going to have some overhead in the car, and if I need to have a little bit of extra, say I'm going to line up against somebody that I know is pretty fast, or I'm doing a grudge race, I can put a little bit more power down and maybe run a 990. So that's really the goals for the car, and we're going to start making changes very early in 2019 to head that direction in hopes of having the car ready to rock and roll in early spring when the track starts to open back up. We'll go back up to Beach Bend and do some testing. We might get down to Steele, Alabama. They potentially are open a few times a year in the winter, and it's about 3 hours from me, but some friends of mine and I might run down there if we start getting the car ready in time and go and do some testing in Steele, Alabama, just to see what it can do. They had really good track prep the one time I went down there. It was kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and it isn't what you would expect for a racetrack, to be honest. If you haven't seen that video, go back and check it out. I'll link to it at the top there. But the track prep was really good, and the track workers were really good. So we had a good time down there. We might actually go back and try that out if we start getting the car ready before our local track, Beach Bend, opens back up. And I plan to do these changes in stages. I'm going to start off with just a tune from Mike at OST Dyno, see what we can do there. We'll try 93 as well as 109 and see kind of how we do. And then we might try a pulley, add a little bit of boost to the car, and again, we'll test that on 93 as well as race gas and kind of see how that goes. And maybe, just maybe, I might think about trying a E85 race tune. Now, I don't have any aspirations to run E85 all the time. I know some people love it, but honestly, I just don't want to fool with having to test the gas, and it takes 30% more fuel when you're running E85, so I don't want to deal with that either. I'll just ride around the street on 93. I mean, honestly, 700 horsepower is a lot for a street car. If we put a pulley on it, it's up to 800 on 93. That's honestly more than you can safely use very frequently, at least, unless you're in Mexico. I'm probably gonna just drive it on 93. However, if I can find a way to convert the car to run E85 instead of race gas, here locally, E85 runs about $1.77 a gallon. Race gas is, I'm gonna say, about $15 a gallon. So that's a huge difference. So if I could get a tune set up where I can drop E85 in the tank, change the tune over, and go race at the track for $1.77 a gallon fuel and get the same results, I would be thrilled with that. We're obviously going to have injectors to do that. I did buy a set cheap from a guy. They've been on the shelf for like a year. He was somebody who started working on his car and didn't really know what direction he wanted to go, and bought some parts and then changed his mind, decided to go a different direction and wanted bigger injectors. And so I have a set of ID 1000s, and I got them pretty cheaply. And so they're sitting on the shelf and they're just waiting for when I need them. Probably drop those in. We'll do some testing, obviously, and I'm not going to just throw everything at the car. I did that with the RT that we had previously, Orange Crush, everything in the kitchen sink. Back then, you kind of had to, because there wasn't a whole lot going on with those cars, and so the people who were supercharging them stock, they actually blew up a lot of engines, and so I went ahead and had a built motor put in, and then put a supercharger on it, and then more power, and then I needed a clutch, and then I needed a transmission. So I don't really want to get into that with this car. It's so good from the factory. I'm just doing small changes just to enhance it. And so I'm trying to do it as cost effectively as possible, and try to give you guys a roadmap that you can potentially follow, at least to get an idea of what you can do without spending a boatload of money. We're going to do, like I said, a tune, potentially a pulley. If the pulley requires injectors, we'll deal with that at the time. I've got them on the shelf already. We'll get those in. We'll definitely need those if we start playing with E85, but they're easy to change out. It's probably a 30 or 45 minute job, not a big deal. So we'll have all that ready to go. And there's a lot of information that floats around out there. You know, if you do, a 275 pulley, it's too much for 93 octane. If you do a 285 pulley, you need injectors. I mean, there's all these questions, and I get it as a shop. If I ran a shop, I would probably get a formula and something that was cookie cutter, and I knew I could tell a customer without a doubt, hey, if you do X, I know you're good to go. But I want to find out what is actually required, and so that I'll know. And we'll find out if there's differences for different cars, right? I mean, maybe these shops have found out that car A might run fine on a 285 pulley and stock injectors, or a 275 pulley and stock injectors, and car B would not. And so rather than deal with all of that on and off the dyno and all that stuff, it's more efficient for them just to recommend a package that they know will work, and they just go with that time and time again. I want to do some testing just for my own knowledge, and I may end up at the same place they have already ended up, but I like to know for myself, and I'll do my own data logging, and I'll work with Mike at OST Dyno. He doesn't like to spend money you don't have to spend. I like that about him. He doesn't recommend things that he doesn't think you need until you need them. And so we'll run some data logs, and we'll start off with a tune, and then we'll do some pulleys and see kind of where we go and upgrade things as they are needed, and I'll show you every bit of that. And Happy New Year. I wish you much health and wealth and success with whatever it is you're working on in 2019. Again, I appreciate all you guys that watch. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and we got a lot of big plans coming for 2019, and we'll be kicking those off very soon. We're also doing the shop series, which just kicked off last week. If you tuned in, you saw Saturday's episode where we started kind of a tour of the shop. Next week, we'll start talking about the actual build and some of the decisions that we had to make along the way, so be sure to come back and check that out. Give us a big thumbs up if you like the content. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Check us out on Instagram. It's at Speedys_garage, as well as our website, www.speedysgarage.net. And I'm going to go turn some fuel in noise. Hopefully, I'll see you out there.